So in this video, I want to give you guys the exact process I use to clean wheels, and yes, the brake dust on wheels to perfection basically every single time. So many of you guys who have dealt with wheels, and particularly the brake dust that accrues on the wheel, know that wheels basically come in three different varieties. Number one, they come with so much brake dust on the face or the interior that it takes a really long time to clean them to perfection, and by the time you're done with one wheel, you think, man, I already wasted 15 minutes cleaning this, now I gotta do the other three. Number two, they come with so much brake dust on the inner barrel of the wheel or on the face of the wheel that trying to clean it off completely doesn't work because that brake dust is already corroded into the wheel and it's a damage issue, it's not a detailing issue. Or number three, it's more or less somewhere in between where the wheel has some brake dust that can come off and some brake dust that's corroded into the metal, and by the time you clean it and get rid of all the stuff that could be cleaned off, you realize, oh man, this looks even worse than before, because at first it had kind of a uniform appearance because all the brake dust was there uniformly. Now that I've cleaned off some of it and there's some left over that's damaged, it kind of looks spotty like a Dalmatian, and the wheel looks dirtier than it did before I cleaned it. Now in the detailing world, we talk mostly about how to fix things after they go wrong, and in this video I want to talk about something I call prevention being better than the cure. You guys can see on this BMW X3 I'm actually applying a ceramic coating to all of the wheels, and I want to walk you through the process of this because this is really the secret to getting perfect wheels every single time and making sure that brake dust doesn't ever have time to actually eat in to the metal. I'm not using any power tools or any fancy equipment in this video because for those of you who watch something like this and think, man, I want to ceramic coat some wheels for my customers or even for myself, I want to show you that it can be done in a very ragtag way where you don't have to pay for a bunch of expensive tools or products. Once I get that wheel removed, I want to lean it against something where just the tire is touching something like a ladder just to stabilize it. Of course, you can purchase a wheel stand that looks something like this, which basically allows you to just sit the wheel on top of it and spin it around as you clean it or spin it around as you coat it. But once again, well, you can do this very inexpensively, and that's what I want to show you here. Now, as I clean the wheel, I want to clean the face of the wheel as well as the inner barrel. And all I'm going to do is use my alkaline wheel cleaner, because these are new wheels, to clean off the surface dirt, scrub it with my detailing brush, rinse it off. Then I want to use my iron decontamination, my Iron X, or my liquid clay bar, as some people like to call it. Spray it all over the wheel, let that iron decontamination chemical sit there, start to remove that fallout, those iron particles, and then rinse that off. Now, as I pull it back into the garage, obviously we're going to want to dry the wheel at a really high level because we're going to be putting a ceramic coating on it. And so I make sure to pull out not only my drying towel, but also my blow dryer, because in a wheel, of course, you get a ton of water that sits in kind of these cracks and crevices that you can't see, and until you start moving the wheel around, putting the coating on, and that water starts to drip onto the coating, you don't realize it's there. So blow drying the wheel is always going to be a really essential step here. Now, after I blow dry the wheel, I'm going to start applying the ceramic coating. Generally speaking, for those of you who don't know, you can take basically any ceramic coating, and if it can be applied to paint, it can normally be applied to wheels as well. Most of the times, wheels from the manufacturer is coated in either like a clear coat or a gel coat of sorts, and so most ceramic coatings that can be applied to the clear coat of the exterior of a vehicle can be applied to the wheel as well, assuming the wheel is not like a powder coat or it has no clear coat on it, it's just bare metal. So most of the wheels apply to what I'm talking about here, but I am using a specific wheel coating for this scenario from System X because I know that this particular ceramic coating is one that lasts a little bit longer than others that I have tested, so I want to make sure that we get some long-term protection on this wheel. Now, as I apply the coating, number one, you guys can see that it's actually relatively difficult to pick up on where the coating is and where the coating isn't, partly due to the fact that the wheel is totally black, and the other reason is because this particular ceramic coating doesn't have kind of like an iridescent appearance when it starts to tack up. So when I remove it, I'm kind of just having to go over where I know I applied it, make sure I go over the borders so I don't have anything left over, but this particular wheel ceramic is relatively easy to wipe off anyways. I start with the inside, go to the face of the wheel next. The flash time on this particular ceramic coating is a little bit longer in a regular environment like this that's not very humid and not very hot because it's fall time here in Nashville, Tennessee, so it's the perfect time for ceramic coatings. And once I finish that and I buffed it off with my first and second microfiber towel, I'm gonna go ahead and take that wheel, put it back on to the BMW, and finish this process with the rest of the three wheels. Now, I've already told you guys the secret to removing brake dust that's really caked on really in less than half the time and getting it perfect every single time, and that is to make sure that there's a protective layer on the wheel before the brake dust ever starts to accrue. But now I want to give you guys three simple ways that you're going to be able to sell a customer on this, because it is actually very easy to create the value add here. Number one, talking to a customer like this with a totally new car, it's really easy to explain that when the wheels are not protected and the damage does accrue, it's really expensive to fix. So you're going to save a lot more money making sure that there's a preventative and protective sacrificial barrier on the wheels now than waiting for that brake dust to actually start to damage something, especially on a wheel that's more expensive like this one later on. So in a situation like this, to convince a customer to go ahead and spend the extra money to put the ceramic coating on the wheels, it's very simple by just explaining to them how much less expensive it's going to be now than later when they're repairing the damage. The second area where it's going to save the customer money is simply in the maintenance maintenance upkeep and the maintenance wash that we're gonna be doing on this car, as well as, of course, the wheels. When I'm dealing with a wheel that's ceramic coated, oftentimes I actually don't even have to agitate the brake dust when I am cleaning it. I can use a really diluted form of an alkaline wheel cleaner, let it sit for just a little bit. It does not damage the coating, and I can use the pressure from my pressure washer to blast off the surface level of that brake dust without having to even take a towel to it, which of course decreases the amount of time I have to spend in my maintenance detail, which allows me to get the job done even quicker and get in and out of the customer's hair. Again, it's another area where I touch on the savings that the customer is going to have long-term by doing this now. And the third major selling point for a wheel ceramic coating like this to avoid that extreme brake dust buildup is really simple, and it's, hey, this car is totally new and you will never have another opportunity for the car to be in this condition, to protect it this easily, to get this much value out of that protection over the lifetime of the vehicle. That sort of scarcity and urgency really helps not only tell the truth to the customer, but also actually move the needle on them wanting to do it right now. It's very true that in the new state that the car is in, this is really the only time that you have the option to make this decision. Once it starts being driven on a daily basis, potentially accrues a little bit of damage, we're only gonna be able to help it so much to bring it back to that neutral position, and we wanna make sure that they understand that it's now or never, because it does tend to help the customer make a decision. So guys, I hope you got two main things out of this video, which is number one, a wheel ceramic is actually very simple to apply, and you probably have all the tools and products you need to start doing it today. And number two, when you actually communicate this to the customer to make sure that this is something they understand the value of, hopefully this helps in that communication process. As always, I will hook up any of the tools or products that I used in this video in the YouTube description box below, so you guys can check them out for yourself. I'll also hook up some specific wheel ceramics and other non-specific wheel ceramics that I suggest for this type of application, so you guys can make a decision on what you want best. Guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this if you want to start to grow your auto detailing business, start to offer high ticket services, and ultimately just become far more profitable than you currently are. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, thank you guys so much for watching. Keep working hard, and I'll see you in the next video.